Hey, my name is Chris Johnson. I'm a lot of things. I'm antisocial. I don't really like a lot of people. I don't like going out in public during the day when there's a lot of fucking people around and like bumping into random fucking assholes dealing with the riffraff out there. Sometimes when I tell people that I'm like a fucking antisocial misanthrope who's fucking divorced and lives alone with 2 cats, they think I'm like some kind of a hermit or some shit. And it's not only that. It's not that they just think that like I'm weird because I do those things. I think that they think that I can't really interact with people. Being antisocial doesn't mean I can't interact with people. I can interact with anybody just fine. I can talk to fucking anybody about anything. I'm very good at talking to people, actually. It's one of the few things I am good at. A couple times over the years, this has happened to me, though. I'll run into somebody, either with kids, or there'll be, like, kids around, and I'll interact with the fucking kids, and they'll be stunned by that. The story I told a couple weeks ago with the dildos in the basement, there were 3 toddler girls, like, running around me and chirping at me and shit about their day, like throwing their stuffed toys at me and whatever the fuck, and I'm just interacting with them, you know what I mean? Interacting like a normal human being, and they seem to enjoy my company. I remember later on that the girl that I was with, she was like, I was really surprised that you were so good with the kids. Why is it such a surprise? I mean, am I that much of an asshole that you think I'm gonna, like, walk into your fucking mom's house and kick your nieces in the face? Like, what did you think was going to happen? Because I don't want kids. And I think people think, because I don't want kids, that, like, I have no way of interacting with kids. A kid is just a little fucking person. A kid is not a complicated being. Kids want a couple things. They want to watch TV, they want candy, they want to stay up late. You know what I mean? I was almost, like, offended when she said it. She's like, I know you don't want kids, and you were really good with them. Look, I'm not a fucking Morlock, for Christ's sake. Like, I can interact with kids. The fact that I don't want kids, the fact that I'm antisocial and I don't like going out in crowds and meeting new people, that doesn't mean that I can't do it. And it also doesn't mean that I hate children. I just hate most children. The same way I hate most people. The reason I hate most children is because most children are fucking assholes. And the reason most children are fucking assholes is because most people are fucking assholes. And if most people are raising most children, then most children are going to be assholes. That's just math. That's basic math. If you know a couple pieces of shit and they have a kid, the odds are that the kid's going to be a piece of shit. I mean, every now and then you might break the mold. Like, my father's a piece of shit, and I like to think that I'm not a piece of shit. But maybe I am a piece of shit. I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people out there think I'm a piece of shit. And they'll be like, well, his dad's a piece of shit. Chris Johnson's a piece of shit. Like, I can fucking interact with him. And then there was one time I was at somebody's house. This was right after the divorce. So when I got divorced, I was a fucking maniac for a long time. It took me a long time to get over it. I wasn't officially divorced at this time, but my wife was gone for a couple months. And then I knew this girl that I worked at the gas station with that was married with a couple kids. And I somehow ended up, like, going to her house. Like, she knew I was going through divorce. She's like, why don't you come over for dinner? Kids will be around. And I didn't realize that she was going through divorce too. That's fucking crazy. And I thought, you know what? This is going to be great. Like, I can fucking talk to somebody that actually understands what the fuck that, like, I'm going through. And she's probably got it worse because she's got 2 fucking kids. So, like, I walk in there. And this house sucked, by the way. It was like this house in the middle of fucking nowhere. And she kept telling me, like, how beautiful the home it was. And I went in there and I thought I was going to get fucking murdered. It was like a fucking house that you'd see at, like, Friday the 13th or Halloween or some fucking horror film. It's got, like, fucking, like, grimy floors, like a wood stove in there. There's, like, no fucking neighbors. There's a cornfield across the way. It's like, what the fuck am I? And her 2 daughters were in there, and I've never met these 2. And they were playing, like, House of the Dead or some bullshit. This, like, fucking zombie shooting game on the television. They were, like, 4 and 3, and I was like, oh, this could be fucking interesting. And gas station lady's like, you know what? I'm gonna make dinner. Why don't you hang out with the kids? And I thought, are you fucking kidding me? I didn't come here to play with your goddamn kids. So I go into the kids' bedroom. And I don't even remember what we're playing. We're playing, like, Candyland, but it wasn't Candyland because it's such a ghetto house that they had, like, Candyland cards but didn't have, like, a Candyland board game. So they made up their own game, but I didn't even know the rules of the fucking game. They were telling me the rules of the goddamn game. Basically, I'm just, like, putting a card down, and it's like, the Candyland card, it'll be like, 2 blues, and they'll be like, oh, you get to move a horse up 5 spaces. And like, the horse? What the fuck? There's no horses here, goddammit. And I interacted with these goddamn kids for like a half hour, 45 fucking minutes. And later on that night, after we ate, the food was fucking terrible, by the way, because she's a fucking vegan. They're a vegetarian, and that doesn't necessarily mean the food you make is going to taste like shit, but the food she made tasted like shit. She took, like, fucking, like, raw broccoli and just, like, cooked it on the fucking grill, but it was, like, burned and charred as shit. Come on, step up your fucking vegan game, goddammit. And we're, like, outside, and she's just, like, we're just probably talking about our fucking shitty divorces, and then she just takes, like, a pipe out of her pocket and lights it. I was like, you're smoking a pipe? She's like, no, this is Reefer. Reefer? Is this 1970? Reefer? And I'm not fucking shocked by somebody smoking weed. I've known plenty of pot dealers in my day. But should you really be out here smoking this fucking weed pipe on your fucking porch when your kids are inside playing fucking zombie games. Like, do I want to be here right now? And does this shit happen when I'm not around? What the fuck is going on here? So she's talking to me. She's like, you know what? I got to tell you something. I cannot believe how good you were with my girls. And I thought to myself, like, what the fuck? What did you think was going to happen when I walked in? That they'd walk up to me, say hello, introduce themselves, and I would just punch them in the fucking face? Listen, I know that a lot of people think I'm an asshole. I know that the fact that I swear, that I'm loud, that I'm fucking opinionated, that I have this podcast, like there's a lot of things about me that I think some people find polarizing. I've had friends of mine tell me that, like, you're polarizing. People either really like you or they fucking despise your ass. So I get it. But what about me screams that this motherfucker is such a malcontent, such a fucking Neanderthal asshole, that if a child walks up to him, he's just gonna, like, boot them right in the fucking chest. Like, do I look like that type of guy? Holy fuck, I hope not. Jesus fucking Christ. Well, I'll be back Sundays and Wednesdays with more new podcast episodes. I'm on Podbean, that's the host website or the app for that. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify are some big podcasting sites that I am on. I'm going to put the podcast in my Facebook timeline for you. I'm on Twitter at Johnson Hates You, and you can catch me on Instagram for photos and videos and shit. That is at maybe 5 minutes.